Hello everyone. So in the last classes we had discussed about the module 2. Many of the topics were covered and it was also given for the internals, need for planning and management, what are the main needs. So in the last classes we had discussed about why we need, what is water resource management, what is the necessity of it, and why do we need its planning. If there is no planning, we can't execute it in a proper way. Okay, so that was the main 5 components or main 5 reasons why we needed planning and management. So coming to the next topic, I hope you had gone through the slides. It was shared earlier for the self-study, but still just go through it once. So as you can see, all the topics are self-explanatory. So the first one, water resource management involves interaction of 3 interdependent subsystems, that is the natural river subsystem, socio-economic subsystem, and administrative and institutional subsystem. So even this topic was covered in the last class. Natural is nothing but physical, chemical and biological. I had explained about what are the physical properties such as pH, color, temperature, turbidity. Chemical, what are the chemical particles which are present in it, that is the all the sedimentation or sediment particles which are present in it. And the biological process, that is BOD and COD. BOD means biochemical oxygen demand and COD means chemical oxygen demand. Socio-economic subsystem, which includes human activities related to use of natural river system, how a person uses the water which is already available. Administrative is the one in which the governing board comes into the system, how the water has to be used subsequently. Next, coming to the next topic, very important one, that is planning skills. So scale means what? Up to what extent we can go up to planning. There is a small scale, medium scale and large scale. In the same way, in our water resource management, it is spatial scale and temporal scale. Planning scale is a process of understanding, evaluation and providing option for the use of water to ensure better fit with the human habitation. So if the population in a country is more, then the planning should be more better, or it has to be evaluated better. If the population is less, the amount of water which we want will be less. Different physical and biological processes can have dynamic interaction when they operate on the same scale, that is physical. That is, if any country has too much of forest or it is mainly based on the agriculture, that means it has to have more amount of water which has to be given for the agriculture, and also 60% of the water nearly goes for the agricultural processes. Okay, the planning and management scale is now again characterized into 2, that is spatial and temporal. What do you mean by spatial? Spatial is nothing but we are given a particular area. Okay, watershed or river basin are usually considered local regions for water reservoirs planning and management. How the land and water are managed in one part of the river can affect the land and water in other parts of the basin. For example, the discharge of pollutants or clearing of forests in the upstream portion of the basin may degrade the quantity and increase the variability of flows and sedimentation downstreams. To maximize the economic social benefits obtained from the entire basin and ensure that these benefit accompany costs are well distributed, planning and management has to be taken into consideration. Okay, so there are many disadvantages of spatial scale. First one may be inadequate for addressing particular water resource problems that are caused by events and taking place outside the basin. Hence, administrative boundaries should be expanded. So spatial means it is particularly bound to a particular area. There is a boundary. After that boundary, we don't know what happens about that. So if you consider a boundary and something, the water is out of your boundary, you have no control about it. So that is one of the limitation. Next one is the temporal scale. Temporal scale means time based. Okay, it what time, how much amount of water is required. For example, for summer we want more and more amount of water, and in the winter, sorry, in the monsoon seasons, the water required will be less. Water resource planning requires looking into the future. Decisions recommended for immediate future should take into account for their long-term future impacts. This impact may also depend on economic and physical conditions now into some distant future. So nearly the near future, what is the amount of water which is required in the next? It has to be decided. Decisions that are to be made later can be based on updated forecasts. So as we know, the hydrological cycle are not always the same. So as the hydrological cycle changes, we can again plan for it. Water plans need to be periodically updated and adapted to new information, new objectives also. Okay, and its costs and benefits. So that is what it is given here. Spatial is nothing but to a particular area, and if we go out of the base, we go out of the boundary, we can't have proper control on it. Okay, the same was explained for you just now. You can go through it once, you can pause the video, you can go through it. So temporal is nothing but it is mainly based on time, how we can manage the water resources which is present based on the future plans. So next topic, it is planning and management approaches. There are mainly two approaches. Okay, in that first one is top down or command and control approach. That is the main person, whoever is in the governing board, that is the top person, he will mainly be the in charge of the planning and management of the water. Second one is the bottom up, that is the last person, how it is comfortable for him, he will decide how the water should be managed, top down and bottom up. Okay, so from top down or command and control, that is the person who is on the top will command and it will be controlled in the next subsequent areas. Okay, water resource professionals prepare integrated multi-purpose master development. That's what I told you. In the top person, whoever the master is, he will have the full control. There is a dominance of professionals and little participation of stakeholders. That is, the stakeholders is nothing but the person who really use it. Okay, in this approach, one or more institutions have the ability and authority to develop and implement the plan. So they both come together, they plan accordingly, and then they will command. However, nowadays, since public have an active participation in planning and management activities, top-down approaches are becoming less desirable. So, as you know, the person whoever is in the top, he cannot really know how it works. He might not plan it in the proper way, and the planning will be very inefficient. So the public might not get the correct amount of water. So that's why top-down approach is not mainly considered. So the second one is the bottom-up approach. In this approach, there is an active participation of the stakeholders. Stakeholders over here is nothing but the public, those who are affected by the management of water and land resources. Plans being created from bottom up rather than top down. Top-down approach plans do not take into consideration the concerns of affected local stakeholders. So in the top-down, they do not know who really needs water, who really doesn't need water, how much water do they want. But in the bottom-up approach, the person is the public and they can perfectly plan how much water they want. Okay, the goals and priorities will be common among all stakeholders. So the public is public and all the public will come to a particular understanding so that they will get water perfectly. Planning and management aspects. So there are mainly three important aspects, that is technical aspects, economical and financial aspects, institutional aspects. So the three are technical, economical and institutional. So in the technical aspects, it is the sources and solution which we can give technically. Okay, it is the first necessary to identify character sites of the resource in the basin. Okay, so predicting changes in land use cover. So how much land is mainly we want for the water. Economic activity at watershed and river basin. Economic activity is nothing but what are the activities which are going in the basins. That is either it may be agricultural or maybe industrial. There will be influence the amount of runoff, the concentration and sediment and the quality of the constituent. So because of the runoff and the various activities, this is the main technical, that is BUD, CUD and the physical characteristics come into picture. So the quality of the water will be decreased. Okay. Technical aspects also include the estimation of costs and benefits of any measures taken to manage. Okay. So in the technical aspects, we mainly have engineering structures for making better use of the water, that is the pipes and dams, canals and water lifting devices, sewerage and industrial wastewater treatment plants, including waste collections. See, whatever the water is there, it will finally be a waste and it has to be perfectly treated before letting it down. So in the technical aspects is nothing but the engineering aspects, and it has to be perfectly monitored, and engineering aspects mainly come into picture, that is the design of the sewerage system, design of the water collection system, etc. Okay, second one is the economic and financial aspects. Water is as an economic part, or we consider it as something like money. Okay, this benefit using for the other development, that is it is mainly benefited for the other development of the particular aspects, that is we consider it as economy, as a resource. Now we are not considering it as a in the engineering point of view, we are considering it as economic point of view, that is where the money is mainly spent. Water should be extracted as an economic commodity to extract the maximum benefit as well as to generate funds to recover the cost of the investment. So investment for the pipelines and for the wastewater systems will be done. So how we can recover, that will be dealt here or dealt here. Cost recovery. Revenues are intended to recover construction costs, if any, and to maintain, repair and operate. Okay, so first one is the engineering. They have known what is the amount of water, what is the quality of water, and how the water has to be managed. And in the next one, economic and financial aspects. So at the time of managing water, we are constructing various wastewater treatment units. Yes, so in the wastewater treatment units, the operation will be going on continuously and all the parts has to have maintenance. So for maintaining the equipments, we should have proper budget. Yes. Next, financial component of any planning process is needed to recover the construction cost. So if you do a business. Initial investment, we can see it as the technical aspect, and the profit which you get from it has to be seen through the economical aspects. Okay, next one is the institutional aspects. To control and regulate, we can say it in one line, that is to control and to regulate. The first condition for successful product implementation is to have an enabling environment. We cannot build a house anywhere, right? We have to see the characteristics of the soil. In the same way, in order to implement something, you need to see what are the aspects, or the what are the favorable conditions which is available. There must be exit national, provincial, local policies, legislation, institution that make it possible for the right of decision to be taken and implemented correctly. Here, in the institutional aspects, the government and the other bodies come into picture. Water is a resource and beyond property. It cannot be owned by private persons. Water rights can be given to companies, but only to use the water and not to own it. Okay, so in this, the government comes into picture. Many water resource development projects are very expensive, which can only be made by government or state owned companies. Only the government can address the issues related with good water management. An insufficient institutional setting, that is, if there is any query between the government and the water resources, the project will never take off. So, institutional means the governing board. So, first one, it is the technical aspects, that is the engineering aspects. Second one is the economical. So, whatever the engineering procedures has been done through, that will be taken care in the economic and financial aspects, that is the losses and the management of the particular devices will be done in the economic and financial aspects. Institutional aspects is nothing but the governing board will come into picture. Okay, so you can go through this was explained. So predicting the same thing was explained. You can pause the video and you can go through it once. Economic and financial aspects, and the third one is the institutional aspects. So as you can see here, it is not a property right, that is nobody can own it. The resource often requires large investment. Next one is the models for impact prediction and evaluation. So as we are speaking about it, that is the modeling, stimulation. Before implementing anything into this world, we have to see how it works in the stimulation, that is in the artificial environment. Okay, so models. So first one, this is the heart of model making process. Okay, impact prediction. After this project has been done, what is the impact which is done by it? Models can assist planning and management at different level of details. Some of the use preliminary screening and alternative plans and policies which require higher level of expertise of these purpose use. That is, the modeling which has to be done, it has to go through multiple phases. That is, first model whichever is there, it can be again rebranded, or it can be altered, and it can be made more efficient. The integration of modeling technology into social and political components are the main challenges. See, whatever model we do, it is in the ideal condition, but it is not so in the practical world. So that is the main challenge which we face in the modeling unit. They provide an efficient way of analyzing spatial and temporal data. So what is spatial? It is bound to a space. It has particular border. And temporal data, that is nothing but the time, interaction, and predict the impact over the space. So by modeling, that is by just creating an idea how much boundary we want and at what time do we want, that is the main thing over here. So in the temporal and spatial boundaries, it can be modeled and it can be stimulated, and in the stimulation we can predict what can be its impact. Okay, water resource models. So first one is water resource models. Briefly, they are analytical tools used to determine consequences of proposed action for forecast of quantity or quality of the water in nation's river, lakes or groundwater. So it is a analytical tool which we use it to forecast. That is in the same way how we forecast the weather. Water resource models can also be characterized on the purpose which they are used for. There are many classifications of the models of the water resource. So first one is the operation and management. The operation and management model, that is how the water which is present over there can be given out and its management. Second one is the planning of the water resources. Third one is the policy development that comes in the institutional level. Fourth one is the regulation, and fifth one is the data management. So these are the few models which involve water resource management. These are the software type of things. There is just names of these are given, and it's not really about explaining what are they, just for the knowledge purpose for you. Okay, so once the planning is done, next, see, as we construct a building, first the planning has to be done. The building structure, the rooms has to be designed, then the execution part will be done. After the execution, we need to maintain the building, or else it will collapse or it will not have perfect efficiency. So post planning and management issues. What are the issues that we have after the construction of a well planned system? So it will, why post planning is mainly required, let us see. Okay, it will help in creating social environment that brings us all, who should be involved from the beginning of the continuous planning and closeouts. Post planning is a form of 4 different phases. That is the planning, second one is the build up, third one is the implementation, and fourth one is the close out. So coming to the first one, that is planning. Planning is mainly about defining the fundamentals. So how it should be, how the project has to be executed. Next, it determines real problems to be solved. So when we plan it, we will come across many problems and it has to be solved. Identifies the stakeholders. Over here, the stakeholders are no one but the public. How to map out the project. So where the project has to be implemented, where the project has to be mainly constructed. Define project objectives, determine scope, resource and task. That is the objectives. Why the water resource management system has been done over here. Determine its scope, what, how much water it will give, to whom it will give. Resources, what is the amount of cement required, what is the amount of labors required, what is the task that has to be done. Next, prepare for the trade-off. Build up. In this phase, you bring up the team together. It is nothing but same as the one when you start building an apartment or a house. So first is the planning, that is the blueprints. Next is the building up, that is calling up of the laborers, contractors, and time essential estimate, bringing schedules, cost estimates, and it becomes the main budget. Assemble a team, plan assignment, creating schedules by holding the meeting. So once the planning has been done, when you are executing the plan, it is not only the main thing that we need to see what is the amount of project that has been done. We have to see day to day or weekly basis what is the main I just forgot the word. What is the main improvement that has been done? How much work has been finished? Okay. Third one is the implementation. It is the time to put plan into the action. So you have the plan, you have the people, you have the material. Now you have to do the work, monitor and control the process, budget control, report process, whole team meeting and manage problems. So monitor, so how much work has been done in the weekly basis. Next, the budget control, whatever you plan plus or minus 5% will always be there. Okay, it may be 10% also. Report project progress, that is what is the report that is pending, how much money that has to be given to the laborers, what are the registration links that they have to go through. Next, whole team meeting, that is the team meeting, that's all. Okay, it is the main person, the contractor and the main builders who are there. It has to be done with the meeting. Manage the problems. Next, close out. Through some projects feel endless, they are all eventually come to an end. How do you, as a project manager, know when to make it happen, to how to make it happen is your responsibility. So there are many projects which takes years to complete, but one or the other day it has to be completed. So in order to do that, in order to see when it completes, we need to evaluate the project performance, close the project and debrief with the team. After the project is done, we need to evaluate the project performance. Okay, how really we made it possible, how it was finally done, how it was completed, right? Next is the close of the project. Next one, it is the debriefing with the team. So what better could have been done? Okay, so that is what it is mainly about. That is the closeout. So next, that is the main topic. So there were 25 slides. So in this video, let's go through or just revise it just for once, what all the topics that we had covered. So if it was in the class, we would have cleared the doubts and there would have been more explanation about this, and I could have given a better explanation, and there are no audience over here and I had briefly explained about all the things. If there is any doubts, you can ask. So before that, we can just go through the video or this online class what we had done today. Okay, first one is the system components, that is the natural reverse subsystem, socio-economic subsystem, administrative and institutional subsystem. That is the natural reverse, it has the physical, chemical and biological process. Socio-economic, that includes the activity of the humans. Administrative, that is wherein the government comes into picture. Next one is the planning scales, that is the spatial and temporal plans. Spatial means borders come into picture, temporal means time comes into picture. Next one is the two planning approaches, that is the top down approach and the bottom up approach. Okay, in the top down approach, the governing boards will be into, they will take the responsibility, right, and they will not know what mainly happening in the stakeholders. Second one is the bottom up, that is the stakeholders will come into picture. Fine. So the bottom up approach is mainly more feasible or more efficient than the top down approach. Next one is the planning and management. In order to plan and management the water resource system, what are the three aspects that we need to consider? First one is the technical aspects, or nothing but it is the engineering aspects. Second one is the economic and financial aspects. Third one is the institutional aspects. Okay, first one is the engineering aspects, that is how much water is required. After the water has been consumed, the amount of wastewater generated will be more. So for that there should be a water wastewater treatment systems. Second one is the economic and financial aspects. So what are the wastewater treatment units that has been set up, they have to be, the profit has to come from it, or else if there is only loss, no one would come or step forward to do these types of projects. So economic aspects, so water has to be taken into consideration as money. So for the maintenance of the engineering tools which was given out, it has to be subsequently maintained, or it has to be perfectly aligned with the technical aspects. Third one is the institutional aspects, that is nothing but the institutional aspects is nothing but mainly it is for the governing board, the one who make the rules and regulations. Okay, the next topic was about the model for impact prediction. So why modeling is done? It is mainly done because we have to see what happens next, that is what we have to see what really happens if this model comes out in the real world. So that is nothing but the stimulation. Before completion of any project, before application of any project, we need to do a model, or it has to be virtually tested first. If it is not virtually tested, it will be very difficult when it comes to the real world, because the problems will be more and we are not able to address all those problems. Okay, so after planning, post planning and management issues. Analysis of planning and management. Analysis of water resource planning and management generally comprise of several stages. These stages are referred as analytical framework. The models for quantitative analysis is referred as the computational framework. The purpose of analysis is to prepare and support planning and management discussion. Okay, the decision making process are factors causing the decision makers to return to the earlier step of the process. So there are mainly two types of cycling steps. Okay, comprehension cycle, and the second one is the feedback cycle. The first one is which improves the decision makers understanding of the complex process by cycling within the steps. Feedback cycle is returning to the earlier phase and doing the process once again, or we see what is the problems that has been caused. Okay, so first one, cycling process solution mainly. So what are the problems? I'm just saying in the cycling process, solutions mainly fail to meet the criteria. New insight, change and perception of problems in the solution. New types of problems coming to picture. The situations will change. that is the political, international and societal development will be there. The three elementary phase of the analysis is inception. Inception means starting, development, and third one is the selection. So in the inception, that is the first process. Second one is that in this mainly it is the development stage, that is the data collection and modeling. Third one is the selection. The purpose of selection is to prepare a limited amount of promising strategies. If we promise more, we cannot deliver everything. So limited, and it has to be reasonable. Okay. Important activities has to be done in this phase. The result of this phase will be included in the final report. So with that, we complete the module number 2. So this Thursday I was planning for a live video chat in which if there is any doubts regarding this, you can ask. Thursday, that is on 16th of April at 12 p.m. in Google Hangout meetings. Okay, the password will be sent to you. So with that, the module number 2 is complete. The notes and the PPT will be shared to you in the Google Classroom. Please go through it. If there is any doubt, please ask. Okay, thank you.